She looked him dead in the eyes, smiled, and said something that sounded completely normal, but that night he couldn't sleep. Not because he was overthinking, because deep down his gut already knew. I'm a female psychologist, and what I'm about to break down today is something most men will never hear from anyone in their life, because nobody teaches men how to listen. Really listen to what a woman is actually telling them. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look back at past relationships and finally say, oh, that's what was happening. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Words don't always mean what they sound like. And in relationships, the most dangerous sentences are usually the ones that sound completely harmless on the surface. Today, I'm giving you 5 real sentences women say. And if you hear any of them, psychology says, don't negotiate, don't wait, walk away. Not because she's a bad person, but because staying will cost you something you can never get back. Let's get into it. The first sentence, I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. Bro, I need you to hear this differently. Most guys hear that and think, okay, I'll just be patient. I'll show her I'm different. That's the trap. Because what she's actually communicating from a psychological standpoint is this: I want the emotional benefits of relationship without the responsibility of one. And the moment you stay after hearing that, you silently agree to become emotionally available while she remains emotionally free. Research on attachment theory is very clear about this. Prolonged uncertainty doesn't build connection, it builds anxiety. You start reading into every text, every delayed reply, every mood shift. Your nervous system stays trapped in low-level panic, and you call that love, but it's not love, it's waiting. Strong men don't wait for a seat at a table that was never prepared for them. If this is already hitting different, subscribe right now, because I drop psychological truths like this every single week. Now let's keep going. The second sentence, I'm a really complicated person. Men hear complicated and think depth, mystery, interesting, but your brain is confusing emotional chaos with attraction. Here's a psychological reality. Emotionally healthy people do not introduce themselves with their dysfunction. They work on it, they own it, they grow through it. When someone says, I'm complicated, what they're really saying is, I haven't processed my patterns yet, and I need you to pre-accept the chaos. That's not depth. That's a warning label. And men who ignore warning labels don't end up in relationships, they end up in rescue missions. And rescue missions rarely love you back. The third sentence, you're honestly too good for me. Sounds sweet, right? Almost like a compliment, but psychologically, it's usually a distancing maneuver. She's placing you above her so she never has to meet you where you are emotionally. It becomes a built-in excuse for future inconsistency. When she pulls away, when she ghosts, when she becomes cold, the story has already been written. I warned you. And what's dangerous is that many men hear this and instantly develop a savior complex. They think, my love will change how she sees herself. No, attraction does not grow from rescue. It grows from mutual respect, equal effort, and emotional reciprocity. You cannot love someone into believing they deserve you. The fourth sentence, all of my exes were toxic. Now listen carefully. Toxic people absolutely exist. That's real. But psychology also says this: when every single relationship in someone's past was entirely the other person's fault, there's usually a missing ingredient called self-reflection. Growth requires ownership, not just of pain, but of patterns. If someone cannot ask themselves, what role did I play in these outcomes, then they cannot truly grow beyond them. And if they cannot grow beyond them, you don't become their partner, you become their next story. If this video is making you think about someone specific right now, you're not alone. Now here's the fifth sentence, and this one traps men the most. I don't really like labels, or let's just see where this goes. Men accept this because they don't want to seem controlling. They don't want to appear needy. So they play it cool. But wanting clarity is not controlling. It's called emotional maturity. Here's what happens neurologically when you stay in undefined territory. Your brain treats ambiguity the same way it treats danger. You never fully relax, never fully feel secure. You start giving relationship level energy to a situationship level commitment, and that imbalance slowly drains you, silently, until one day you wake up emotionally exhausted and don't even recognize yourself anymore. So hear me carefully when I say this. Walking away is not failure. It's fluency. It means you understood what was actually being communicated and responded accordingly. The strongest men are not the ones who stayed the longest. They're the ones who left the moment self-respect started disappearing. Because this is what happens when you stay too long in emotional misalignment. You become patient, then careful, then quiet. You stop expressing your needs. You stop setting boundaries. You start shrinking yourself just to keep the peace. And the moment you abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable, attraction dies. Not because you're boring, but because you're no longer whole. Women are naturally drawn to emotional stability, and you cannot stay emotionally stable while constantly living in emotional confusion. So let's flip the perspective. Those 5 sentences are not just red flags, they are exit signs. Warnings offered early before deeper damage happens. When she says she's not ready, believe her. Choose someone who is. When she says she's complicated, wish her peace and choose clarity. When she says you're too good, don't argue. Choose reciprocity. When she blames every ex, don't investigate. Choose accountability. When she avoids labels, don't linger. Choose direction. That's not cold. That's maturity. Because the real question isn't, why did she say that? The real question is, what did you do after she said it? Every time you walk away from what doesn't align with your values, you raise your standards, not just for relationships, for yourself. So I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Which of these sentences have you heard before, and what did staying cost you? Write it down, because awareness is where old patterns finally break. If this video put words to something you've been feeling for a long time but could never explain, like the video, subscribe, and share this with a man who's loyal, strong, but quietly stuck. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is simply remind them they're not crazy for feeling what they felt. I'll see you in the next video.